Welcome back to DM-Nastics, the gym for dungeon masters to work out their minds. I'm one of your hosts, DM Celeste, aka Sea Witch.
And I'm your other host, DM Neil, aka Jote Maniac. And today, we're just going to open another. We're going to take a look.
See, both of us, you can't see it, listeners, but we're holding both of our Dungeon Master guides. We're waving them around. Neil's got the nice shiny one. I've got the one that is officially falling apart now, again. This is my second one that I've destroyed.
I'm taking a brief moment to talk about how ridiculous the secondary market is for the shiny versions of these books.
Oh, yes. I haven't checked in lately. What is the...
Unreasonable.
Whoa.
The one that always stands out is Volo's because
yes.
it was one of the earliest ones. Mm-hmm. The Hydro 74 cover for Volo's is minimum $400.
Yeah, on eBay, yeah. Or if you can even get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially because they took Volo's out of print, so even more.
And even, so then I have the three set of the main, the core books is also, I've seen it in the like 400 to 600 range as well. But it's my only copy, so I don't really feel like doing that.
Yep.
But today, as we have done before, we because it worked better than we thought it would, we'll try again and see if that's still true. We're going to look at random tables in the DMG to just make things because it's easy. It's a book you probably have.
I grabbed my book, but not my dice. 1 second. So as always, we'll also have a link over to Sly Flourish for the list of tables that are in the DMG. Oh, yes.
Because that is probably the absolute most helpful thing in this process is being able to go more directly to a table that you want, but at the same time, certainly just flip pages of your favorite RPG book and see what tables are in there.
Heck yeah. What do we want to look at today?
I don't remember.
I feel like every time I open this book, I see an art piece that I've never seen before, and I don't know what kind of magic that is, but it's cool. I'm just looking at it now at the Part 3 Master of Rules, like, the cool drow.
Oh, yeah. Well, I also like that there was also a really concerted effort to show parties of players rather than just singular characters.
Individuals, yeah.
So one of the things is, chapter 2 in the book is called Creating a Multiverse. So what I've noted is that around the page 47 range, several of the tables caught my eye based on their titles because I kind of didn't know why they would exist. So on page number 47, Astral Color Pools.
Oh, yeah, that's weird. Okay, so the astral plane, realm of thought and dream. Yeah.
So basically, as you're floating through the astral plane and you start to see these different colored pools, there's a table on which you could randomly roll. That's a bold. Now let's be honest. That's a bold choice.
That is a bold choice. I mean, wow, look at some of these.
Yeah, your players had better have at least 2 digits in their level. There's no way I could say if not 3, because that's not really how that works. But the idea that they need to be pretty strong if you're going to the point where, one, they're traveling the astral plane and just freewheeling it through said astral plane to roll the D20. So,
because, freewheeling it, I don't know, do you want to roll, see where we end up?
Absolutely. And the best part is, both of us will roll, and both of us will end up somewhere else, I'm sure.
Somewhere else! Ooh, I'm going to Gehenna. Ooh, through the russet-colored pool of Gehenna.
Oh, man.
Isn't that where the Yugoloths live?
And I'm headed to Pandemonium through the magenta-colored pool.
We are not doing well in these places.
We did not do well.
Pandemonium, yours sounds worse than mine.
Well.
Oh my god. I have to say, I don't know a lot about Gehenna and Pandemonium. Pandemonium. A plane of madness. A great mass of rock riddled with tunnels carved by howling winds. Oh my god. Banished to the plane have no hope of escape. Many of them have been driven mad by the incessant winds. Oh my god. Sorry, Neil.
It's okay.
I think it's not going well there. What's Gehenna like? Yeah.
Okay, and after you're done telling me about Gehenna, you said wind, and we will go to the next page after this because there is a psychic wind effects as well.
Ooh. I have to know about Gehenna.
Isn't Gehenna where the gnolls?
Is that where they are? Gehenna.
In the Dungeons and Dragons Gehenna in current edition of the game, the bleak eternity of Gehenna, also the fourfold furnaces or the fires of perdition, is a plane of existence of neutral evil and lawful evil alignment.
That tells me nothing.
It did. It was really good at not
really
saying
told
anything.
me nothing about this. Okay, that's fine. All right, but let's go the winds. Psychic winds. Oh my god. That's all so bad.
Uh-huh.
Oh no, and one of the wind effects is you're sent through a color pool to a random plane. Oh no.
So I got diverted. I add 1d6 hours to travel time inside the astral plane.
Oh gosh. Okay, let's see. Wow, I'm lost. Oh no. Okay, I'm lost. At the end of the travel time, characters arrive at a location other than their intended destination. Okay, if characters are soaring around in the astral plane like this, they got to be level 20, man. Like, this is just not gonna go well.
And my mental effect is, 2d10 psychic damage.
Oh. Owie. It's just like a really bad migraine as you're drifting through space. Whoa, I'm looking at the map now. There's something called the Labyrinth Winds. That's neat.
Yeah, it seems like every kind of plane that's been alluded to has some sort of random table associated with it.
Aha! I found Gehenna. It's the plane of suspicion and greed. It is the birthplace of the Yugoloths. Yes! I would win Trivial Pursuit, that question.
Got it.
Wow. Okay, steep canyons, volcanoes. Yep, no room for mercy or compassion. Sick. Cool. What's our next table we should look at?
There was a Feywild one, then I thought we could jump to another section real quick. Okay. Roll me a d20, and I will inform you of what has happened to time.
Oh, okay. 18.
Days become months.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And this is in the Feywild?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. So we come back, and you're like, it's been 50 years since you stepped through the door.
So 7 through 13 is no change. And the higher you roll, the more time passes per day. The lower you roll, less time passes per day. So days, basically from days become minutes to days become years.
Ooh, that would be very, very scary.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Dear DM or GM, make sure this is probably the end of a session when you find out what has happened.
Yeah, end of a session so you can plan a whole new campaign, get all new NPC contacts, etc.
Well, yeah, just so you can figure things out between that session and the next one.
Yeah. I think we went through a lot of the good tables.
So we had really focused last time on some of the framing events like in the 70s in terms of page numbers of what we had looked through.
Yeah.
So one of the ones that I think would be interesting is if we go to page 89 and 90, because those are the NPC tables, and those are super fun.
Cool. Yeah, let's make some NPCs. Ooh, all kinds. Okay. All right, let's make some NPCs. Oh, who are we starting with? Okay, NPC, we'll just go down the list. Let's do appearance.
They're used to... Oh, that's why I can't find it. It's not in this DMG. It's the 3rd edition DMG. What I would have sometimes is like when my players were making their characters, oftentimes if they couldn't really think of something or it's a quick game and they're trying to find like some way to attach themselves or make themselves notable, I would use tables like this and just have them roll a trait. And then, let's say it's, they roll a 4 on the talent and it's perfect memory. Okay, so now that, here's that touch point. Now we can kind of move off of something like that. So I agree. So they have appearance, there's abilities. Oh, I like that idea that you roll for like their high ability and then what's their lowest ability, and that can kind of inform what they do. That's neat. Let's from start to finish. You want to take the first D20. What is their appearance? Bam,
a 2. Piercings. Like all right, cool. Hot topic. All right,
yeah.
we'll roll for their ability. What's their high ability, Neil? It's a D6.
Nope. I gotta grab a D6. I got a 6.
All right, charisma. All right, cool. Charisma is their highest score. They've got a lot of piercings. Maybe building a rock star. Okay, and let's see. Lowest is dexterity. So they are very clumsy or fumbling. Oh boy. Okay.
Okay. Next up, we have talents. Okay, here we go.
Oh, these are cool.
Oh, I don't like that. That's the one I mentioned. So
weird.
Through the power of editing. So I got an 11. Paints beautifully.
Paints beautifully. Okay, so this makes sense. So we've got an artsy, very creative type. Terrible at sports, probably. Cool. Mannerism. Let's see. We are 14. Is squinty. Maybe that's why they have such low dexterity. They have terrible eyesight. They're just always crashing into things. Okay.
Interaction traits. Oh, I gotta find me a 12.
Ooh, I like this. In one sentence, describe how the NPC interacts with others. This is a cool thing to do for random NPCs, for sure.
What did I get? A 5. Curious.
Okay. All right. Maybe this is like a scholarly type, right? They've got a lot. But they paint beautifully. It's an art student. Terrible vision.
Yeah, because I think.
No.
Yeah, I hate that. I'm going to tattle on myself apparently with how my brain is working with this. But I don't like that when I hear the concept paint beautifully, I think paint cleanly.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like my brain is just associating those because like my initial thought, especially with the piercings, was you're going to an art studio.
Yeah.
They definitely live there, but it's like, man, your bed is in a super weird place, and like, whoa, you make food in the same area as what everything that's going on.
Is that turpentine
but at the same
on your
time,
stove? What?
Yeah, at the same time, this art is so good.
Yeah,
and makes me think of that. Like, is where my leanings are. So I don't. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I don't like the way my brain interprets that word.
Interesting. Okay. Useful knowledge.
So
okay.
ideals.
No table for that one. You have to decide. Okay, but ideal. All right. See. Oh, D6s again. So good ideal or evil ideal. You can decide. Oh boy. Okay. So the good ideal is beauty, and then the evil version is domination. So I think beauty probably makes more sense with this character we're building, but okay. Good.
Domination. Ooh. So I rolled a 2.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with a chaotic ideal because that leaves us with creativity.
Oh, I like that. Fairness versus creativity. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're really getting there with this artist. It's all coming together. All right. Neutral ideal. Ooh, okay. Live and let live is the neutral, or glory. I think probably live and let live is more vibing for me with this artsy type. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they couldn't. They're okay that their art is popular. They don't care.
Or maybe if we want to go with the glory thing, if we're leaning into the eyesight, maybe their eyesight is failing, so they only have a few years left to paint. And then that's like they're seeking that one masterful painting, that one glorious thing for their legacy, Like that. Yeah. And throw a wrench in that.
Players come in. Mm-hmm.
Throw a little tragedy in there.
So
all right.
Next we have bonds. Wait.
I think you're rolling
D10, right? Okay.
Yeah, D10.
I rolled a 12. I was like, that's not right.
No.
Ooh, protective of colleagues or compatriots.
Okay.
I really like if we're really playing into the idea that their vision is leaving, the idea that anyone that is still able to create art, or be it that they've trained under them, or that they a colleague, so knowing that these people will continue to create art even when I can't. I really like that concept.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, a flaw or a secret. Ooh, a D12. We're getting to all the dice. That's the fun of these tables. I get to use all the dice I don't get to use all the time. Okay. Do I even have a D12? I must. My arrogance. Aha, there it is. Okay, 2. Enjoys decadent pleasures. Oh my. Oh my. Maybe that's why their vision is failing. They did too much of that good Fae weed. Or like they like, some kind of weird abyssal whiskey or something that's been, they're hooked on and they can't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, as with many things, make sure that what we're about to discuss is comfortable with you and your players. But the idea that someone using something illicit will just, let's just use that word, illicit, to unlock certain levels of creativity. That's a fairly common trope and reasoning. But once you kind of touch that magical bent, the ramifications, both real world and especially when you're creating it in your fantasy world, can be a lot different. Especially like you said, okay, I'm all in. All right, now that we've said
Chip's going in. Yeah,
I'm all in. What if it's that they can no longer see on this plane?
Oh yeah, they've got some kind of weird. Yeah.
So you're talking about being able to. Is it ethereal? Is it Feywild? Is it Shadowfell? Is it figuring
infernal,
out
like some kind of infernal? They're seeing hell, like, right, as part of a deal or pact or something. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
Which obviously has a myriad things that are bad, but at the same time, some interesting things that could be potentially good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh man, this reminds me. I think it was it that show Heroes from a million years ago? There was like a painter, he could paint the future. Yeah. That's very cool. Yes. You could totally have that. This NPC is totally spinning into a tail. Yes.
Yep. And longtime listeners know I will always say that my hero watching experience is perfect because a friend of mine had already watched the whole show. And when I went to go watch it, he told me, you don't need to watch past season 1.
Yeah.
It doesn't go well.
Yeah.
And I trusted their opinion very, very much so. And he said, look, as soon as you're done with season 1, I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you, it's not going to spoil it because it wasn't good.
Nice.
And so, I only watched season 1 and then I never watched the second. And he told me,
I only watched season 1 as well. And I was very impressed. And I never watched the rest. So that's why I guess I think of it fondly.
Don't you do it.
Okay. All right. We've learned.
Heroes holds a glorious spot in both of our hearts because we only watched the
first season. So be like us, read the future, only watch the first season. Amazing. I really like this NPC we're making. This is totally a great idea that I might steal for my games. So love this.
Agreed.
Oh, cool.
I mean,
those tables are great.
You know what? I think the best way, let's round this out by doing that again. Because I think I think with what this is, some of the other ones don't play that well into it. Yeah. It's you have 6 options. Really, at the end of the day, do I want to have the color pool that my players enter during the astral plane be left to the power of the dice?
Yeah.
No. Most likely not.
Really.
I don't think that'd
be too hard. I think that's too hard for the DM, right?
I literally thought, I don't know how I can make that fun for me. And if I'm really questioning how I can make it fun for me, then I find it very unlikely that I could make that fun in turn
for
my players.
Yeah.
So let's roll another NPC. And let's see. I will kick us off with some of these are very funny. I had not read them all. I saw one as I was grabbing my dice. Wow. Whoa. 8. Missing fingers.
Ooh, okay. All right. There's definitely a story there. Yeah. Okay, so let's see their highest ability.
Is their high set?
Yeah, is the opposite, dexterity this time. Okay.
I was hoping it would be dexterity because it's so interesting that they have
missing fingers, but they're so dexterous. Okay. All right. Roll for their low. What's their low?
Strength.
Ooh. Okay. Sense. All right. So they're feeble, scrawny, but they are lithe, agile, and graceful. Okay. So their talent then. Great with animals.
Is that why?
Yeah. Somebody take a little bite. Okay. What's their mannerism?
Our mannerism is a D20 Uses colorful oaths and exclamations. 10.
Okay, listen. So this person's missing fingers. They're agile. They're great with animals. Use colorful phrases. Are we talking about a carnival person or some kind of animal trainer?
Ooh.
I feel like there's a performance aspect here that's evolving for me. Interesting. Okay. Interactions with others. Yeah. Let's see.
D12.
They are rude. Oh, they're extremely rude. Maybe not a performer then.
They would be. Okay. Ideals.
Yep.
6. Self-sacrifice for the good ideal, or the evil ideal is slaughter.
Slaughter. Oh boy. I mean, well, let's see. Okay, they're dexterous. They've got missing fingers. Great with animals. They could also be like maybe an animal trainer, like a military person, right? Like if they're the horse trainer or like the stable master or something, or like they maybe they're like a goblin, right? And they like work with wargs, really like some big nasty mounts out there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Now, I don't know why my brain is thinking this way. That's a standard feeling. But the idea that I feel like for a while there was like this feeling that rangers were darker.
Yeah.
In the sense that like they weren't as in tune with nature as a druid per se. They were good with animals, but that doesn't necessarily mean they care a lot about nature. Those don't have to necessarily be the same thing, because they just don't have to be. And also, like, how are you playing into that favorite enemy thing? Because there's a version where it's favored because that's the enemy that this person has some sort of vengeance towards, some, those sort of things. And it also makes me think of an anime that I watched recently called Goblin Slayer. Where basically in this world, goblins are very, very evil.
Yeah.
They do very bad things to the people that they catch, and they constantly are taking over towns and doing things. So this person, they don't take better quests; they just slay goblins.
They're here. That's what they do. Yeah. And so, I mean, the colorful language or oaths or exclamations, I mean, that can definitely come from, a military background, or like if they were maybe they were, imprisoned by some of these more colorful individuals for a while and like picked some of that up. Or I think also like pirates have very colorful like language. So if they are, we could totally have any of those connections. Cool. Well, let's see. They're lawful ideal or they're chaotic. Yeah. Community or change? So community for lawful or change for chaotic. I mean, it could be like, we could play in that tragic backstory for community. It's like, this is why they have this whole, like, they live to slay this one kind of creature. It's all about the slaughter because their community was destroyed, or other communities are impacted by the presence of whatever it is that they hunt. Cool.
I like it. So that leaves us with the neutral. So, other ideals. Redemption.
Yes, yeah, because neutrality is the neutral one. Not an option. Redemption. Yeah, totally.
So one of the things with the Goblin Slayer was that they, when it happened, like the raid on their village, they hid.
Yeah.
And so part of that vengeance is a lot of internal, things that they've internally held on to that, I didn't do anything in those moments. But, and then do you go through the process of also forgiving yourself because there wasn't so much that you could do because for that character, they were a child. So like, yeah, sure. Had you tried anything,
you would have died.
Would have been killed. Yeah. So why are you so hard on yourself, especially with all the things you've done and continue to do?
Cool. I like this character too.
Bonds.
All right. Let's see. What are we bonded to? 7. Protective of a sentimental keepsake. Oh, I love this. This is something like something, that reminds them of the people they lost, or maybe it's some kind of reminder of how they failed in some way, Like, what if it, they were cornered by one of these goblins or whatever, and that goblin chopped off their hand or something. That's why they're missing fingers, and they keep the knife that like was used, right? Like they turned it back on that enemy or whatever it was as a reminder.
Yeah. The other thing I think of is having something be weird. That it's. I feel like some of the like more traditional things get played into too much. Like everyone has a locket with a loved one that's in it, or something like that. But what if it was something? My first thought was something that could survive a fire. So what if it was just like a doorknob, or like a handle, or like a door knocker? Where it's like that's why do you have that? Yeah, exactly. But
right?
then that
it was like the key to their house or something. Their family home. That burned down, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
and they don't want to mention it, but it, obviously it's a conversation piece because there it is. That's very interesting that you would have a key or that doorknob or anything like that.
Or like, I don't know why this came to me. Or like the foot of a statue, like the statue that was like in the town square, right? That got toppled, and you just carry around this like iron foot. Like, how weird would that be? Weird.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
Okay.
I like this weirdo.
So, flaws and secrets.
Okay.
I rolled an 8. Specific phobia.
Ooh. All right. Okay. A phobia. I mean, it feels like it would be easy to be like, if it was a fire, or let's see, they were good with animals, so it can't be anything animal related.
Yes. So my other thought would be with adding this specific phobia. Is it a place that you're getting through that tougher exterior? We're talking about, rude, seeking out vengeance, like this vendetta against a certain set of creatures that did these terrible things. What if it's, you want to, it's difficult because you don't want to play too hard one direction or the other, especially with the phobia. And even the one you choose, kind of make sure nobody else has it at the table. But is it something that becomes a touch point for a conversation that is, breaking through that exterior that they're putting up?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I can definitely see they'd be scared to, like, maybe they're scared to go inside. Like, maybe if they got trapped somewhere, like, that's one of the reasons they're like, no, I don't care. I don't want to be with people. I can't be indoors. Like, that's just not, or because if they were confined for some amount of time, that might be one of the reasons why they're afraid to, like, go and connect with people. They have to be on the road, right, all the time. So that could definitely factor into that for sure.
Yeah, because that could play, into the whole story that's already created. The idea that was being trapped, the reason they were they survived.
Right.
The house collapsed, but then they were in a pocket that, nothing further happened, and eventually they were either saved or eventually they got out themselves. But, that is it claustrophobia? Is it, is it, what is it, agoraphobia, where, that interaction with people, but being indoors, I've known people that have had unfortunate circumstances where they've been, men that I know that have been attacked. And the idea that if I can't see the exit, then I'm no longer comfortable in this space.
Yeah. I can't turn my back to yeah.
So, yeah. So there's certainly a lot, but again, these are important questions to make sure that these kind of things.
Yes, yeah, definitely with NPCs like this, because obviously Neil and I have a little tragic. We have a little tragic vibe today. Make sure these things, if they touch on content warnings, you talk about your table, any triggers, whatever. Like, make sure you have those conversations if you're playing with NPCs like this, for sure.
If you enjoyed this and you want to head over and you want to roll a D5 and leave us that many stars, do that. That's fine with me. I really don't care.
Yeah. And if you find a D5, please email us and let us know at DM-Nastics@gmail.com. Tell me all about it, because I want one. You can also make sure to follow us on Twitter at DM-Nastics, me personally at CConowitch, Neil at JoteMoniac, and for everything else on the network, check out BlockPartyPodcastNetwork.com.
And if you thought our intro and outro was just the best dang thing you've ever heard, then you, like us, can thank the bards over at Bombarded. And for all the things that they do, you can head over to bombardedcast.com. Rather than let these mental gains go to waste, let's head to taking your supplements.
Taking your supplements!
So today, for taking your supplements, I have invited several additional people to the mental gym. And rather than me say anything more, let's just jump right into it and introduce ourselves. Claire, do you want to go first?
Thank you, Neil. Hi, I am Claire Strickland, and I write for Adventure a Week Games. And my God, I am happy to be on board this one. Should be fun talk.
All right. My name is Thilo Graf. Pleasure to be here with you, Neil. And I work for AEW Games as, designer, developer, etc. pp. Also, of course, for the Mini Dungeon Tome 2. So thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. And so that is what we're going to talk about today for taking your supplements is the Mini Dungeon 2. And I feel like my next statement's going to have some real get off my lawn vibes, but the longer it goes and the more I am a dungeon master, it's products like this that speak to me more directly than, oh, would you like this 400-page tome just about the setting with no mechanical material in it whatsoever so that you can create your own bespoke world? Yeah, kinda. But no, not entirely. So if you want to hit me and the listeners with kind of the elevator pitch.
Yeah, so Mini Dungeon Tome 2. A huge amount of different small adventures that you can just plug and play into your game. Didn't have the time to prepare for your next epic, highly complex saga, investigation, what have you. Do you need a sidetrack because your players went off rails once again? Didn't you just have, all the tools with you and just want to have a quick game because you met some of your buddies while at a convention or something like that? Just want to play because you suddenly have time? Well, take that tome, open it at any page, check it out, and you'll have 2-page adventures with beautiful full color maps, original artworks, and so on and so forth, just for a nice, quick gaming session. Also, by the way, that's how I use it a lot. Perfect replacement for when you've gotten tired of random encounters. Because personally, one of the things that I really get out of Mini Dungeon Tomes, the first one and much more than the second one, is actually the fact that while I was still studying, I had tons of free time. So same was true for all my friends. And so running through several random encounters for a session, totally fine. But the less time you have on your hands, the more you want your gaming to kind of matter, to have that quality time really mean something. And instead of just throwing some random critters on, grasslands field at your players, you can just, have these nice little stories that you can just plop and play into your game. And some of them are more experimental. Some of them are more tactical. Some of them are more role-playing heavy. Regardless of what you prefer and what you're looking for, you'll find it there. And all organized by terrain, by levels, and so on and so forth. So you look at a 2-page spread and you immediately know, okay, this is for this level range, this is for this terrain, and so on and so forth, which makes this sort of resource incredibly valuable as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, just from the top, a mini dungeon is about 1,000 words, maybe 1,200 words long. It is a single location. If you've ever heard of the 5-room dungeon, you can find a lot of those in there, some 6 or 7 or even higher, but they're designed to be one-shot, area-based encounters. We have a concentration of them from level 5 to 10, because that tends to be where people play the game, but we also cover the other levels. And the whole idea is that if you need that one-shot resource, if you want something, like Thilo says, more meaningful than a random combat, you can find it. We've got everything from jungles to Arctic to cities risen from the sea. It is a trip and a half, and they're all manner of fun to write.
Yeah, and I've noticed that using things like this, using tools like this, because recently I've added a couple of the epic encounters boxes into a few of the games that I've been running. It's so interesting that while it does start out as something, it really is. It's like an elevated version of a random encounter. But once you introduce that, because it's elevated, often your players just start feeding into what's happening to make it more, like you were saying, making it more meaningful. Just throwing just random dice and be like, those are owlbears, you gotta fight them now. I've also found that as creatives, the most difficult thing I've seen, or not seen, the most difficult thing I've heard on podcasts is creatives trying to explain something uncreative, like it's just owlbears, because my brain just starts saying, why are they there? And all of those things. But your players will feed into these, which helps look for more. So then once you have this book in front of you, okay, so you player A really latched onto this piece. Oh, there's another adventure that's in here that kind of harkens to that and speaks more to that. So I'm going to adapt that one now, and that's the next one that we're going to play. And then the next one. Oh, now you've tied, you player B have randomly decided that this is really important for your backstory and tied to these characters. So I like it's already mentioned, once you elevate that random encounter to be something more, because also I feel like my players have a tendency to not let anything be random as much as I would like them to. But yeah, the idea of tying to these, it's a lot of fun.
Well, it's that people have this idea that, well, it's just a one shot. It's a canned module. There's nothing. I want to create my homebrew world. But like you're saying, Neil, the way that you use these, the way you incorporate them into your own campaign, you build into these. You add your own character hooks and backstories. You wind up using this as grist for the mill of your own hobby. And the way I tend to use them, it tends to be West Marches style. I love going to find one of these in the Hexploration map, and then figuring out, okay, why is it there? And what's its relationship to the next one on the map and the next one? And you wind up building this world of interconnectedness, that connective tissue. That's what an individual GM, that's what a group of players can bring. And I love the emergent narrative. I love watching that stuff come to the front.
Oh, there's too many thoughts. Because one of the things is having things like this, because even in creating your own homebrew world, I realize it's just calling more specific people out that I know. So then, I don't really mind the statement anymore. My hesitation was like, oh, I will make a broad generalization. There are certainly DMs that lean more towards telling their story rather than writing a story with the people that are at the table. And while that works, and it's fine. And, maybe it does turn into a novella or a novel or a series of novels, but oftentimes that's not how play works. And it also allows for things in your homebrew world to still surprise you, which I find personally, as the person running the game, the better part of it. So doing things like this and allowing them to surprise me to dictate what the world is, that's how it should go.
If I may, there's
absolutely
this one perfect example that illustrates both your point and that of Claire, namely an adventure that Claire wrote. I think it's already been a couple of years ago, but when that one fluttered on top of my editor's pile, I was like, yes, please, more of that.
Yes, say more nice things about me.
So picture this. There's this offshore laboratory that a cabal of alchemists and mages use to create potions. However, there's been this unfortunate massive potion spill in this particular facility, and the player characters just enter this particular facility and are supposed to, find out what happened, rescue survivors and stuff like that. And what Claire did, on the one hand, she introduced this kind of hilarious, somewhat high fantasy-ish angle, and for my own game, I tend to gravitate to a more darker angle in my game. So what I did when I ran this one is I leaned into the environmental catastrophe of all those chemical potions spilling out, And that kind of started changing the entire coastline over the course of several adventures. And that particular mini dungeon inspired a whole series of different alterations, new monsters and stuff like that, which is also kind of amazing because that's also what Claire did. She took this creature and changed it into this absolutely frightening eel-like monstrosity that is kind of hunting the player characters as they're exploring this particular facility, and I absolutely adore it, and it's still one of my favorites. It's in the mini dungeon Tome 2. The Leech Cure was the name. Yeah.
I never knew that you guys used that one to that extent.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, the Leech Cure, the whole idea is that this cabal of offshore potion makers wound up leaking their magical pollutants into the water, and they got hoisted by their own petard by this thing drinking too many potions and evolving into this monster that hunted them down alien style. So getting to go from that, and yeah, like you say, Tilo, that's what it's all about. You take the idea, this little nugget of an adventure seed, and you wind up building your world around that. In the same way that we collaborate with our players, we collaborate with these materials. We're just here to give you something to riff off of.
Yeah, and one of the other things I noticed that kind of goes back to that same conversation is, like you said, these are individually contained within 2 pages, and so there's some ingenuity that is required to do that and still give the DM and the players everything that they need. And one of the things that I noticed that was really interesting was any changes to a monster are noted there, but then it says, but if you need the stat block, that's over there. You know, we're looking at the key pieces that are making this monster different for this specific encounter, and here are those pieces. Which, in a couple ways, obviously it saves on space from a layout, from editing, and all these other production ways. But it also immediately illustrates to me as a DM reading that what are the most important things that I probably want to highlight. Because if, let's say, I'm only going to get 2 to 3 rounds of combat when it happens, I really want to make sure that these things that are being noted as what's different about this monster fall into that encounter. Hit those heavy within those first few rounds so that the players actually get that experience.
There's nothing worse as a game master than seeing this giant stat block of abilities and hundreds of words of spells. And I'm familiar with most of them, but oh crap, what does that one do again? Being able to have someone that can pick out like a couple of key tactics that say, hey, this is the cool thing that this critter's supposed to do, whatever form that takes, whether it's a tactics sidebar or, like you say, the alterations that we make to specific creatures. That gives you an idea of here's the tone we want to help you shoot for. But of course, if you want to go off script, which is the whole point of this hobby, stat block's right there. Use it as you will.
Yeah, someone saw my notes at one point. I had read a pretty elaborate Undermountain game, and someone said that they were going to run one, and I said I can just link you to my my files, kind of like my resource folder, if you want to just check some things out. And I forgot all my notes were in there, and then all of a sudden I get all these like notes about my notes, not in a very positive way. Like, you had to like what each of them would do each round. I was like, oh yeah. I mean, it's too confusing not to sometimes. Because I had like a rival group of NPCs, and so I just literally wrote down what each of them would most likely do each round, rather than, like you're saying, look at 6 stat blocks each time. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Oh God, running NPCs with the complex like player level stat blocks is so hard. I was running a Kraken Lich fight once upon a time. It was the swan song of a character that had died to a Cthulhu-esque monstrosity. They brought his corpse back. In place of the beak inside the Kraken was this dead PC, and they had to fight him again. It was wonderfully twisted, but my God, trying to balance his spells against the tentacle attacks, against, okay, it grapples. Does it put him underwater automatically? And like break line of sight. All these little tactical decisions that you have to make as a GM can be fun, but there's a fine line between fun plate spinning and if I'm overwhelmed.
Another interesting thing about this particular component is, by virtue of, going this route, we have a lot more creatures to choose from, because otherwise you're always, kind of restricted to page count, to word count, to, using creatures that are well known, etc. Even though other combinations would be more interesting. So that's another factor for even the hardcore number crunching GMs that are then like, oh yeah, oh cool, I've never seen this particular monster used in any module ever. So that's also something really nice.
That's a good point. I'm still 10 years later in the midst of my Mega Dungeon campaign. It was Monty Cook's Dragon's Den, which was a web-based service.
Nice.
Everything fully hyperlinked, every monster connected from its page entry to its stat block. It became my favorite way to run. If I can have that ease of reference where I don't have to keep a dozen tabs open all at the same time, the thing that I want is I click away when I need it. It makes the running this game so much easier, especially in this age of virtual tabletops where everybody in every game has moved online.
Yep, and it's finding those balances between what is helpful and what is hurtful with the technology, and fun fact, that's how technology has always worked. And also, fun fact, it's how people have complained about it since time immemorial. My favorite is this thing that says, their faces are constantly in this new technology and they're not looking at the world and they're not observing the world around them. It's ruining this people reading newspapers.
Yep.
Like that was the same complaint then, was you've forgotten the world around you. How dare you read this newspaper on this train as the world passes by?
I was talking to a librarian not long ago, and she was telling me that during the pandemic, it was this technology that we are using to converse right now that immediately, like that, popped right up to keep people connected during, this is no news to anybody, during the pandemic, during shelter in place. A lot of these games, they kept us sane.
Yeah.
So, hey, I love playing face-to-face. I love that kinesthetic interaction between different people to my right and left, but there's an undeniable convenience to this biz. And there's some pretty cool things that you can do with a virtual tabletop. I mean, I love the fact that we have these map assets that you can use out of these mini dungeons. And I don't have to go hunting for a suitable background to throw into Roll20. Anything that can save me a little bit of time and effort that's a plus in my book.
If I may, just for a second, the thing about the maps, because you brought them up, the one thing I'm super happy with is player maps. No keys and secret room as indicators. I mean, how many GMs have spent time and wasted time trying to get rid out of those telltale secret door indicators?
What? Clone stamp. I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine, because I was running the Emerald Spire, that mega dungeon, and then the unfortunate piece with that map is all the maps are the same size. They have to fit on the same board. So, I mean, it's impossible not to metagame like, well, that seems like a weird empty spot over there on the map. I wonder if there's something over there. Let's go check it out.
It was really cool doing that with, there was something called the Sprawl of the Demon Leech. I think it was like level 7 of Dragon's Delve. And it was like the big one. It had, I think, a full 50 rooms for this one level.
Oh, wow.
And it's shaped like a big donut. They're going to go around and eventually find the stairs. And for them, for years, it was just like a letter C. They had gone a bit around. They hadn't completed it. They found the stairs. They went down. Eventually, they needed the MacGuffin from back up there, and they didn't know that it had been there that whole time because of the shroud. If you have a regularly shaped dungeon, you're able to pull in this surprise effect. I don't know. It's a weird thing that you get to do with because of the technology. It's now something that we have to think around and make more interesting dungeons because of it.
Speaking of, is there anything else from the Kickstarter that listeners should know about? 1, it's already funded. 2, it's Mini Dungeon Tome 2, in case you're trying to find it online. You put that in there, you'll find it. But yeah, is there anything else that we want to share about the Kickstarter?
Well, first of all, if you haven't held one of our books in your hands, they are absolutely freaking premium. So essentially, you'll get premium paper, premium ink, and so on and so forth. Not any of those cheap papers and stuff like that. No, we do it right. And we've already met a ton of different backer goals and stretch goals, so tons of additional new content and actual book upgrades. And we're fast approaching the 777 backer goal, where we get another metallic silver sewn-in bookmark. And we already have a couple of sewn-in bookmarks. We have the premium paper upgrade, the premium ink upgrade, and you'll absolutely adore how this, feels as a haptic artifact, because as much as I adore playing online, and at this point I almost exclusively play online, when I personally prepare stuff or when I read things, I want this haptic experience of a proper book. And I'm not talking about, print on demand, but, something that feels like a genuine artifact. But that may just be me.
Running out of the book too, that experience of mini dungeon being like a 2-page spread. You see the whole dungeon. You don't have to scroll around for it.
Yep.
How weird is it that in this day and age we have to sell the benefits of having a book, this wonderful weird technology of book. But the thing that I'm excited about right now, the contents of the book. We are in the midst of a vote for a custom mini dungeon. What kind of terrain type do you want it to be? And I think we're going to have a few more bits and bobs to from there to make it the people's choice. Yeah, that's what I love about this hobby in general. It's collaborative soup to nuts. Like, you're always looking for input from others.
Perfect. Well, I will say I have just backed it right now because I don't want to miss out on the limited hardcover, because I'm that person. I am absolutely that person, much to my own detriment whenever it happens. But so I have backed it, and listeners, as you know, I'll point down. Hear me pointing down to the show notes. There'll be a link, and then of course, if you don't want to do that, Mini Dungeon Tome 2, and you will absolutely find it. So, but before we go, thank you both for coming on. And where can people go to follow anything that you're doing?
You can sign up for a newsletter on aawgames.com. That is aawgames.com. We have a newsletter there. We are not spamming anyone, and we actually have a cool freebie and exclusive actions and stuff like that, and notes on Kickstarters, big projects, exclusive content, and stuff like that. Our setting is up for free for grabs on that homepage as well. And of course, we have one of the most fantastic Discord communities ever. As someone who gets burned out of social media really fast because a lot of them just started, dragging me down and hampering my productivity, AW Games Discord server is absolutely fantastic. We have an absolutely amazing community. Super kind, super fun people, absolutely inspiring. And we actually talk to our, supporters and fans, and we'll listen to them. So if you have got these great ideas, if you want to see more of XYZ, tell us, because we thrive on that sort of community, on that sort of interaction. We want to do everything with you, not just, be guys that create and then throw stuff out. We listen to you.
For my part, I'll echo what Tilo said. I write for AAW. You can talk at me on Discord. Always happy to talk shop. But if you would like to see any of my personal projects, I also write the webcomic Handbook of Heroes. That's handbookofheroes.com. Check out our Patreon. Wink. Nice. I like to think it doesn't suck.
Oh, I don't know that I've ever heard a better tagline for literally anything. What an apple. I don't think it sucks. That's the best tagline I've heard in a long time. That's awesome. Well, again, thank you both for coming on, and listeners, check out everything we talked about. But with that, we'll turn out the lights and head out of the gym. Before we go, though, I want to implore you, the listener, to join the forums, the Discord, Twitter, and anywhere else you can find us, and take part in these challenges, exercises, and other amazing conversations being had.
To do that, head over to dungeonmasterblock.freeforums.net and try some DM-Nastics so your players don't ask you, "Do you even live?"